I mean, at least for 99% of you, it's not going to happen.
Money has been my biggest lesson.
So many of us are waiting for someone to invite us to build an offer that's $5K or $10K.
When we say scale, let's caveat what we mean by scale.
And then can we price according to results? So rather than pricing according to time.
You can't do your work, your transformational work, if you're holding your business. You can't.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the WellnessPro Podcast. I'm here with Linda Hunt of SumSolutions.com. And Linda has this US-based firm where she helps business owners find the clarity and structure they need to lead with confidence. So we're going to talk a little bit about how pricing affects your nervous system and how to actually scale based on a lot of the things that we're teaching actually in Wellness Pro Academy, which is how to structure your business so that you can have the kind of lifestyle and the kind of leading from example that you want. So welcome to the show, Linda. I'm glad you're here.
Thanks, Kate. Nice to be here.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how you went from in SumSolutions, like really kind of going more from the, working with businesses and bookkeeping more into this nervous system regulation with pricing and business structure.
Yeah. So I was one of the first remote accounting businesses out there. It was before the internet even supported anything. And I've been doing this quite a long time, and a couple things started happening. I started connecting with other folks who were providing accounting services, and I started recognizing, like, oh my gosh, they're struggling with their pricing. They're struggling with being able to have a business. And then I started noticing that same trend with my clients. But I should back up. When I left corporate and I started my own business, everything I teach, everything I'm teaching about pricing and how to have a sustainable business that supports you emotionally, physically and emotionally, I lived the ugly side of it, and I don't want anyone else to have to go through that pain. So my own personal journey, as I was healing that and I was going through that, that's when I started noticing these other folks were having the same issues, and I'd be like, okay, well, I tried this, and then it worked for them, and then I would do it with more people. So it's been a long time. So I've been coaching and consulting with clients on pricing for a very, very long time. I'm just moving in. I just recently wrote a book called The Money Conversation, which is coming out soon. And it's all about how to have those hard money conversations all around your pricing, how to raise your rates, how to renegotiate, and to do it in a way that supports you and your nervous system.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how you are working with clients in that way.
Yeah, so it's a couple ways I work with clients. Sometimes I haven't done any group programs yet, but that's probably around the corner. But really, right now we're doing pricing resets. Okay, so folks might come to me and they're circling around the same issue, right? They know they need to raise their rates. Cash, some months the cash is there, some months the cash isn't. They don't know exactly why. So we do, in about 90 minutes, we do a pricing reset. And I get in there, I take a look at their pricing structure, we kind of identify where their challenges are, and we kind of recalibrate their pricing a little bit to support their capacity. Okay, because that's huge. That's step number one. I actually have a free training on my website called The Perfect Pricing Formula. And what that training does is it teaches what I call the minimum aligned price. And your minimum aligned price is that rate that if you're charging below that, you're actually paying your client to work for them. Because what that minimum aligned price communicates is what you need to live sustainably. Because if you're not living stress-free and you're worried about cash all the time, you're not going to be able to deliver optimally, right? So it's your desired salary plus your business expenses. And here's the real key. The real key here is you've got to divide that by, you've got to divide that by the actual number of hours that are client facing. And oftentimes people miss that piece of it, right? They're like, oh, well, there's 2,080 working hours in a year. There aren't, because we take vacation, there's sick time, there's holidays, there's strategic time to work on your business. I know some of the folks in your community are shamans. Shamans, when they're meditating and they're going off and they're, you know, preparing themselves or just regulating themselves maybe after a session, all of that is strategic business time and that needs to be accounted for in their rate. So the MAP, the MAP that you learn in the perfect pricing formula, it's about a 15-minute video. You're going to walk away with what you need to know. That is your minimum aligned price. It's not the price that you charge. It's just that this is your baseline and this is where you need to be starting from.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, like, when before people come into Wellness Pro Academy, they often have, like, 5 or 6 offers, right, where they're doing this and this and this and this, and what we do is we really look at what is the journey that they can
Mhm.
guide, like, where
Yes.
are people coming, the prospects, the leads, where are they coming to them, and, like, what are their pain points? What is their,
Mhm.
daily experience, right?
Yeah, I
And, like,
love that.
what are they wanting? And then where could the wellness pro where can they actually guide them in a year's time if they were fully committed, if they're both fully committed, right? And we
Mhm.
just start to look at what what actually is the outcome? What is the desired
Yes.
outcome that they're confident in guiding? And then can we price according to results? So rather than pricing according to time,
Yes.
or to price according to results. And then can it be renewable? Because what we've found in 25 years experience is that a community of belonging and becoming is what so many people are lacking, especially women. And women do make up the majority of the wellness market, especially in the coaching.
Yeah.
So when we look at that whole A to B and then even B to C and
Yeah.
C to D, this like multi-year renewable membership community, often the wellness pro is going from maybe charging at the higher end because they're often very good when they come to us. So they may be charging at the higher end already of what the market's allowing on a more consultation, transactional, or packaged type of
Sure.
a model. And then they're learning how to like go from that, whatever 5 sessions at 1,200 or 2,000 to, like,
Right.
actually a year long that might be, like, five to $10,000. So they're
Right.
going through that whole recalibration of
Yes.
changing from that dollars per
Yes.
hour and starting to have a much more committed relationship, and what we find in that is that their perspective changes, and one of the ways it changes is from this, like, almost Pollyannish, like, "I'm gonna save the world, I wanna serve everyone," to wow, my member cap is really about 20. Like, I can really guide only 20 people to
Well,
life-changing
yeah.
results at a
Yeah.
higher price point, and then that just and for some people, it's higher, like, for me, it's more like
Sure.
100 to 200,
Sure.
for some people, it's more like 80, for some people, it's 10 that are
Sure.
doing the very, very deep nervous system work,
Sure.
whether it's from, like, iatrogenic disease or, just very severe trauma, right? And it
Right.
just huge shift, and it takes them a while to recalibrate. That's so
Yes.
many changes in the ways
Yes.
that they're thinking, and so I think part of my question to you is, like, when I'm working with the holistic medicine schools and colleges that are training the practitioners,
Mhm.
one of the things that I find is that they're really locked into this transactional consultation or multiple consultation package type business models,
Yeah.
and most of the business types of things that they're training them on
Yeah.
is back in that lower level services transactional, not this guided transformation. And so
Right.
I'm just curious of like, why do you think they're still so far behind? And
Well,
when
I
are they gonna catch up?
yeah.
And how can we help them?
Yeah, no, those are all great questions, and first of all, I just wanna with the way you described how you evaluate someone coming into the Wellness Pro Academy is you're looking at the structure delivery, you're looking at the transformation, and that is the key for any service provider because it is about the transformation and the results. And that actually answers your question that you just asked me is if you think about the job market, right? When we go out to get a job, we are basically unskilled. We're going out and getting our first job. Maybe it's a waitressing job or something like that. And we're trading hours for dollars. We're giving our time and getting paid that way. And that is mostly how society thinks still. And I find that the wellness industry, it's almost like they're defaulting there because they think it's the easiest way to explain the transformation. And they are not giving enough credit to the consumer in who are seeking the results, right?
Yeah.
So that is to me one of the biggest reasons. It's like they're very transactional because it's the easiest way to teach it and it's the easiest way they think to explain it. Also, I think when someone's new and they're in school, there is also that, hey, I don't know how I get a transformation for someone. I don't know the results that I'm getting. And there is some experience that is needed
Yeah.
to, get that confidence. So,
Yeah.
but there's ways around it. There's ways around that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I do appreciate that, this and what I find too is, like, the schools are so focused on the actual modalities that they're training and that they
Correct.
don't really take into account that something like I'm gonna make up a statistic here, but we'll say, like, 98% of the jobs in wellness, you're self-employed, you know? So that means, like, you
Right.
have to learn pricing, you have to learn lead gen, you have to learn customer
Yeah.
service.
Right.
It's not just about having the person, whatever, on your table, in your studio, in your
No,
office consult.
it's not. And sometimes, especially for with the wellness industry, they are really good at the healing part, and
Yeah.
all of those other things are just not they don't come naturally, and I wanna say
Mhm.
that, that's not a blanket statement that they can't get it or anything like that, but it's more like, "Oh my gosh, now I need to know all of I need to know what I do well, and I need
Right.
to know all of these things." And, yeah, I just find that there's a huge disservice, and, I mentioned before, I started teaching other bookkeepers the business behind bookkeeping. So before I even did, kind of branched out and I'm working more with all kinds of service providers now, um, on this end, I it was amazing to me that bookkeepers didn't understand the business behind bookkeeping, but
Mm.
that's when it became
Yeah.
apparent to me they know their craft. Like we know our craft, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that level of technician, right? And it's like when we
Exactly.
of and it is that. We were talking about it yesterday on my sacred I had a sacred strategy workshop, and
Mhm.
it's like how to there's this, thinking structure called the agreement certainty matrix that we've been
Okay.
using a
Okay.
lot, and it's like people are what I find is, like, most wellness pros come to me, and they're in the complicated, but they're not in
Yes.
complex, and if you go from, go simple, complicated, complex to chaotic, and the agreement goes lower as you go towards chaos, which is really, like, where potentiality is,
Mhm.
and it gets lower, so you get higher certainty and higher agreement as you go to simple, and most of them are just stuck in complicated, and most businesses I find,
I was just gonna say, yes.
and you gotta rise above into
Right.
complexity, and a lot of people are really are like and I wanna talk to you more about nervous system because their nervous system is just not actually attenuated to on the business side of being
Mhm.
able to engage a slightly different level of complexity where they're not seeing it everywhere in the marketplace. Instead, what we see in the marketplace is these 20 therapists in my community charge between $80 and $250 an hour. And
Right.
that's all in the complicated. It's not at that view where you can actually get into scalable pricing.
Right. Absolutely, absolutely, and the nervous system, as you wanna scale, right, you have actually, there's a lot of work. It does okay, when we say scale, let's caveat what we mean by
Yeah.
scale,
Yeah.
because scale doesn't have to mean you become a household name and you're making, hundreds of millions of dollars. Scale can mean whatever it is you want it to mean for your business, and, you know, and and to me, I think the luxury that we service providers have, we get to design our business to support our life. So uh, uh, if you ever study human design, I'm a projector.
Mm.
And I'm not like a generator. I cannot just go, 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 go. And, and I used to try to, and I was constantly hitting that burnout. So that's actually another reason that started me on this nervous system, recalibration path for myself, because I had to understand when I work less, I produce more, right? And so so your nervous system, the body knows, right? The body keeps score. The body tells the truth, right? So on the business side, we have a tendency to go up here into our heads. And when we're in our heads, we're not you can loop and you can perseverate and you're not going to find the solution. When you drop down, for example, like one of the things um, we talk about in the money conversation is talking about raising your rates, right? So we have it. So people are afraid to talk about raising their rates. People are afraid to talk about their rate in general.
Mhm.
They get maybe their voice, wobbles when they talk about it, or they get a pit in their stomach. But instead of feeling into it and kind of leaning in and understanding what's going on behind that, we go back up here and we ignore it. So then we're disconnecting from our body, which I think is where this complication
Mm.
happens that you're talking about and that that you were just talking about and seeing.
Yeah.
So our nervous system, it's our compass. It helps, and we basically you're not you're going to get through the discomfort. Okay. So money has been my biggest lesson, right? Like talking about it, teaching it, all of those things in my life. Does it mean I don't get triggered today? Of course it doesn't. I still get triggered, but I now have tools because I've worked with my body and my nervous system to, maybe not react right away or, um, you know, ride that emotional wave. Okay, if I'm heightened or have a sense of urgency, I know I need to stop and pause and feel into this and feel into where the discomfort is in my body. And for me, journaling is a huge
Mm.
outlet for that. But when we want to scale with our business, like if we make too big of a jump, there's going to be a contraction, and we have to believe it, right? But if you're too small, you're also going to be stagnant. So it is about finding that balance, right? There's somewhere in between that we find the balance. But the first step is getting simple, not getting coming out of that complexity and going down to simple, because
Mhm.
when it's simple, we can. I don't know. There's ease around it. There's calm. There's peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I find is when they like with the wellness pros I worked with, when they start to really understand the commitment aspect of the end result, and so instead of being time-based, they're end result based of like, how do I actually focus more on the client's transformation? How do
Hmm.
they I get them,
Hmm.
excited, motivated, connected in a support field, like, it just but there's like so many components of just
Absolutely.
from this person's paying me X amount of dollars per hour to like, "Oh, wait, actually someone's coming to me and they are looking for life-changing results. Now let me do a deep dive and find out exactly how, in their words, like,
Hmm.
they talk about what their current
Right.
issues and their current challenges and their current goals are,
Right.
and what, in their words, their desired
Yeah.
end results are, and then
Right.
can we put a value on that? Like,
Right.
can we help them put a value? And always, in a good sales conversation, the prospect is like, "Well, that's priceless." Because it's so out of reach, and it's like, "Okay,
Oh,
yes, and
right.
we actually do work in a capitalistic culture right now where we can put value in terms of, playing with the kids the grandkids on the floor and being able to get up and not be stiff. We can place a value on having
Sure.
energy throughout the day and deep sleep at night, and we can put, and it's hard to put that into
Of course.
dollars type terms, but when the wellness pro starts to really get that and recalibrate to that, you're like, "Oh, okay, I'm actually not selling the X amount of coaching sessions that
No.
they're not counting
Right.
the accountability partnerships worth
Right.
this or the classroom and the courses and the stuff that helps them get there's worth it. It's just based on the outcome." So one of the key strategies I've been using in teaching wellness pros sales right now is with their prospects to actually go, it's part of price anchoring, is to actually like price if they look at their health, and anyone that's over, I find 55, 60,
Okay.
albeit that, definitely over 60, 65, is used to healthcare being covered by an insurance. So they're used to this
Sure.
transaction where they buy insurance and then that gives them surgeries and medications. But what they really want is wellness, but they have a hard time understanding in their investment portfolio how to actually, and so this is what I'm teaching them to do, price anchor to the real estate. So price anchor to the house if they own a house. So say the house is worth $1 million or
Right.
$500,000 or
Yeah.
$250,000. Where I live, houses like the median house is worth $1.5 million, right? So we can price anchor in my neighborhood to that, right?
Hmm.
And then it's like, well, how well are you taking care of your house?
Mhm.
Now
Right.
let's look at how much money are you invested in your body? So if we look at your entire portfolio and X amounts in real estate, how do we just take 1% of your portfolio, of your financial portfolio, and actually invest it in your body and in your mind and in your relationships? These things that you say are priceless. Let's start to actually use an accounting that you can price anchor to
Yeah.
your portfolio and start
Right.
to invest in yourself. And I have found that to be like, once they got that, it,
Because you made it relatable. You made it completely relatable.
yeah.
Yes.
And we're trying to change a behavior. We're trying
Yeah.
to change
Oh,
this
absolutely.
belief, like, I don't, well, that sounds expensive. And I was like, well, what are we comparing it to? If we're comparing it to a yoga class, right? Yeah, yoga class is gonna be
Right.
$20. My thing's gonna be 7K. Like, we can't
Right.
price compare to the yoga class.
Right. Right. And well, this is just a pet peeve of mine. Like, there's a lovely Pilates studio down the street from me, but I joined, but then I have to like try and get into the class, and I'm like, oh, I don't need that stress. You know what I mean? I'd rather do private lessons, but that's where my mind goes. No, I love that, Kate. That is a wonderful example because you anchored it into something that's relatable. And the other thing that's happening is on the flip side, when you're working with your wellness pros, right? You're getting them out of that transactional mindset and excited about the transformation. The key there is this is what I picked up is you are teaching them to care without carrying, which I think is huge. Um, yeah, but we come into our work with this transactional mindset.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I said to you, I started out my business on an accounting bookkeeping side, right? What's the result? The result is what I was recognizing that I was doing. I was taking care of something that they didn't have the expertise for in-house. They didn't need a full-time person for. That's how it started, right? But now it's really interesting. The evolution of the journey with business owners is they want financial clarity. They don't necessarily want to do it, but they want to understand what it means to them. So that I now sell accounting services very differently than I did when I first started out.
Mm,
Yeah. It was a transaction when I first started out. It really was regarded as a transaction, but the evolution is very similar to, well, what does having, up-to-date books mean to you? And you'd
yeah.
be surprised the things that people say. But and it's all different, but you get it in their words. And any service provider can do that. Any service provider can anchor in the transformation and have a relatable example. Because
Yeah.
it becomes solution selling and
Yeah.
it becomes simple.
Yeah, and it becomes much more relational, right? Where it's
Yes.
like, actually the relational part is what is built in. So, like, I have recurring members. 'Cause I've been doing the same thing more or less for like 25 years, and it's a
Mhm.
long time. And so people know where I stand, what I stand for, the integrity that, like,
Sure.
I'm here, right?
Yeah.
And when a business is like, when we can stand for that, there's so much value. And then what we
Yeah.
find even more now that we have a lot of people running their clubs well, is it's who they meet in the club. So the way that the club structures, that's so far beyond. So it was, I drew this picture like maybe a decade ago where for Wellness Pros, where it's like, it's kind of like monkey in the middle, where they're in the middle and then all their clients are connecting through them. Right. And
Mhm.
so they get exhausted because their nervous system is like attenuating to every client that they're seeing.
Mhm.
And their clients actually have so much in common. In fact, like for most holistic practitioners, they do say the same thing quite frequently throughout the day or throughout the week or throughout the month or throughout the year. And so their clients actually have heard a lot of the same things that they should be doing or changing in
Mhm.
order to experience the kind of desired outcomes that they want to experience. So
Right.
when we take the monkey out of the middle and instead we have the monkey build the structure, right? Have the wellness pal build the structure for their clients to connect with each other. Now we actually have a huge value add where we have a network of people that are all aspirational, they're motivated, they're
Mhm.
trying to enact a lot of the same diet and lifestyle changes or hacks along the way. They're dealing with a lot of the same issues, but they're dealing with them in a way that's very progressive. Whereas for our wellness pros, like their typical client is actually trying to make a move out of their current circle of friends or colleagues and into a higher level, which is why they're
Right.
seeking help. So
Right.
by changing the business structure, going to high ticket, high commitment, they're able to provide a network, and that network effect, just because I've been doing this for so long, I can see what happens 10 years down the road. It's those people stay connected.
They stay
So then how
connected.
do you have the value add of like your friend, you're having a hard time connecting with people. Well, I will provide you with
With
your
connect Yes.
that's healthy. That's
That
getting healthier progressively, not just in
Right.
their bodies, but in their
Right.
relationships and
Right.
yeah,
That is a great value add. Huge. Huge.
huge. I don't even think it's, like when I look at trying to help clients one-on-one the way I was trained as an Ayurvedic medicine practitioner, it's like, wow, you're actually like, I think leaving the majority of how wellness works on the table. Because then you might work with this person in a VIP, and I did a lot of VIP work early on where I do like
Uh-huh.
very high, I'd be flown in to do high-end retreats one-on-one, so the higher end of the industry, and I was like, what's so hard is I can't change her network. So then we do
Right.
this high level work with me, higher level consciousness, then she
And
goes
then she goes right
back.
back,
Yeah.
right
If
back.
we
And
don't actually solve the people set, we call the people set, if we don't actually solve that issue to be around people that are trying to make the same changes or have already accomplished those changes and are
yeah,
now on to the next level, so that
yeah,
you actually have like a ladder of support with people cheering you on and relating
right,
to you where you're at and
right,
showing you if you get
right,
through this, this is what's next.
right. I know. It's fascinating. I love it. I love it.
Well,
So
and it probably for you is where you'll go to group because 'cause you'll be like, "Oh, why
Oh,
would
yeah.
I be in the
Well,
middle of all my
yeah,
clientele?"
exactly. That's why, yeah, I've been considering that because really at the end of the day, even though I say I talk about pricing, I'm really talking about money, right? And I'm talking about and where does our money story begin? Our money story begins in our childhood. And I don't know, I'd be curious to get your opinion on this. Um, I know the things like I had great parents and a decent childhood, but I learned to become a people pleaser at a very, very young age. And in retrospect, right, as I came into my business and I started seeing the patterns, it was all stemming from that people pleasing, right? So that played out in my self-worth story. And really talking about so nervous system regulation is also kind of looking at those limiting beliefs, those stories that we tell ourselves that are not true, right? And I believe it is our job to interrogate those beliefs and those stories and until they prove themselves to be true, right? Because they're not true and they keep us stuck. But become an entrepreneur, become a business owner, and you will meet yourself and you will go on your own healing journey, right? And then what ends up happening is you get that passion and you're igniting that excitement to help others. And and that's what I keep hearing, very clearly throughout our conversation today is what the Wellness Academy is doing. So, yeah, no, I
Well,
love it.
yeah, most wellness pros don't really get into it's like you don't get into it's like I could have gone into investment banking. I come from that kind of a background, right? It's like I could have been a doctor, I could have been a lawyer, I could have been all that. So it's
Mhm.
like the wellness pro who really goes down that path is in it usually for truth and wisdom.
Yeah.
Right, and then also for giving, for helping
Mhm.
others experience what they've already
Yes.
experienced. So, like, because of that, right, there can also be this savior mentality or the people pleaser mentality, and when we
Yeah.
run are you familiar with the wealth dynamics, personality test?
I am not.
It's great, it's great in
Okay.
our industry, but I think it's great for a lot of entrepreneurs because you really like, once I saw that I was divided between, like, I have a star persona, but I also have a creator. I'm about 50-50. It made everything click for me. I'm like, "Oh, that's why I don't resonate with the other," like, I had a lot of star friends who became very big, very popular, yoga teachers with huge followings, right?
Okay.
And I was like, that's so not appealing to me." And I'm like, "'Cause I like to innovate systems, right? I've got this
Right. Ri
creator part."
right.
What we find is about 50% of the wellness pros that come to us in Wellness Pro Academy have a supporter wealth
Oh,
dynamic, and they have
interesting.
no and it's the hardest one to leverage in it's like if we look at women, women professionally come from nurses and from teachers, right? And those are
Mhm.
all supporter wealth dynamics. And
Right.
so they've been entrained in it culturally. And then
Sure.
when you're in this like wellness, a bit of like a savior, if I can help you, I will. Actually a lot of part of the ethos, especially of the
Yeah.
Eastern culture, wellness traditions from like China and India.
Mhm.
And it doesn't work very well with capitalism. So then you end up broke. So it's like what we teach is like, well, the supporter wealth dynamic is that people pleaser supporter. Like we have to bake that in
Yeah.
to offer, and we have
Yeah.
to bake it into how you present yourself, like, "I will
Yes.
support you in crossing
Yes.
the finish line. I will create a safe space," and just giving them the
Right.
language around this
Yes.
your persona
Yes.
with the
But do
price
you
just huge.
huge, and so but then that crosses that line of caring without care. You have to care without caring, right? Because then that's where they can leak. So even though you're creating that support structure and everything, if they're not careful, if they're not strong in their boundaries on how they're delivering, they can leak time and energy, and that ends up in their bank account. That ends up in their, losing money. So,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's huge, right? If they go outside and that's usually the first thing that they have to deal with because what they wanna do so the first thing we do is the offer, right? It's like we figure out
Yes.
how does the offer go to results, and they want to do all this one-on-one
Of
work,
course they do.
you know? And it's like you can't, like, you will break, like,
You will break.
you will break,
Yes, you will break.
and then you
And
can't keep doing this. So talk a
right.
little bit more about what you mean about care without caring, just so that we're clear on the terminology.
Yeah. So you want to be compassionate, right, with your clients. You want to care, but there's that co-accountability in the relationship, right? Where if you're not asking your client to show up and then you start overcompensating for it, you're going to break the boundaries that you created in that offer.
Yeah,
Right. And you're going to maybe make an exception or you're going to do something extra. You're going to start overcompensating
yeah,
for the results, okay? And then or maybe they're not gonna be getting results because you're compromising. You're getting too close. It's a very fine line, right? But you wanna make sure that, you're not getting murky because then what's gonna happen is you're gonna say, "Well, I delivered the service." And then your client's gonna say, "Well, I didn't get my result." And now you're in the perception. Right?
mhm,
That's
mhm,
why it is so important for offers to be bounded and to have those code accountabilities and to communicate that clearly up front.
yeah,
That helps you care. You
yeah,
can care, you can be compassionate, you can show up, you can be in that supportive role, and everything's clear.
yeah.
Clear. Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
mean.
we just took the whole first component of, like, the offer building, which includes the club guidelines and FAQs and terms and conditions and disclaimer and all that, and we just built AI agents around it so they can get through, like, that entire
Oh, that's
work
fantastic.
in a day, and because they just get stuck, they
Yeah.
just get stuck of, like, terms and
Yeah.
conditions, like, how do I," and then 3, 4
Yeah.
months later, they'll end up with someone who needs to withdraw and needs to change, blah, 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 and then when they go back to the terms and conditions, it just clears it right up, and now the person's
Clears
like,
it right up.
"Mm."
Oh, yeah, because you created so that's what I talk about, the structure supporting holding
Yeah.
you and your business. It is so important
Yeah.
to have your
Yeah.
structure because you can't do your work, your transformational work if you're holding your business. You can't. The
Yeah.
business has to hold you
Yeah.
financially and structurally.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been teaching for years out of Mastering Leadership, Anderson and Adams, like structure precedes evolution. So we need to
Structure precedes evolution. I love that. I love it.
right?
Yes, and at the end of the day, Kate, I think we're really teaching sovereignty. We're teaching
Mm,
self-leadership because all of
yeah.
this, even though it's in our business, it
Yeah.
permeates every aspect of our lives. Every
Yeah.
aspect. Yeah.
Yeah, we actually do this exercise where they build a crown and they put the crown on their heads. It's like, "You're self-ordained. You're sovereign."
I
You're
love
like,
it.
it's a
I'm gonna make a crown.
yeah.
I
Right? Because
am.
it's like we often wait for and I found this, like, I was waiting for permission to write but I should have written books in my 30s because I won't write those books that I would have written then, and they would still help my clients. But it's like I was waiting for
Yeah.
someone, and it's like so many of us are waiting for someone to invite us to build an offer that's 5K or 10K. They're
Right.
inviting us to double our rates if we're just still in service in dollars. And it's like,
True.
it's never gonna happen.
Yeah.
I mean, at least for 99% of you, it's not gonna
You're
happen that some,
right. There
rich
will be that you're right. There will be that exception to the rule. There will
yeah,
be. Yeah.
yeah,
But no, it's like
occasionally, but
yeah, occasionally, but you know what? And the other thing is, you I hope you I'm assuming it's inherent in what you're teaching, but we're not for everybody, right? And like you
No.
said, some people might only want those 10 clients, but
Yeah.
then you build the business around that. Some people want the 200. It doesn't matter. It
Right.
doesn't matter.
But it's
But
not infinite. And a lot of people are like, well, I want to work with everyone. It's like, well, there's not, that's a no one, you know? It's like,
yeah,
unless we get really specific, we're not going to
right.
be sure that we can actually guide the member to
Yeah,
result. And if we're not doing that, then
right,
I call it babysitting. It's like, then what are we
right.
doing? We're just band-aiding. And
Yes.
I'm like, and I felt like that with my clients. I'm like, I'm the entertainment, right? Like
I'm
we're
I'm laughing
glum,
because I relate. I totally
right?
related. Yes, I used to, yes.
And I'm like, I did not sign up and go through all of this education and all of this enlightenment
To
training and
be
all
your
this.
babysitter.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I can so relate to that. I love it. I love it. Oh, fun.
So anything else you want to mention before we wrap up in terms of the resources on your site and where people should start that are just wanting to get a little bit more in touch with their nervous system and pricing and money and start to talk more about money in their own, even if
Yeah.
it's just with themselves?
Yeah, well, the book has been in my head for 15 years, but I just wrote it and it's coming out actually in March of 2026. It's called The Money Conversation. And it really is it's a short read. It's a very practical guide that will just help you get through some limiting beliefs, strengthen that money muscle, and it'll give you some structure so you can evolve around your money conversations. So yeah,
Oh, that sounds great. I
check
look
out
forward
my
to getting.
website. Yeah, check out my website.
Yeah, so SumSolutions.com is Linda Hunt's website, and
Yeah,
yeah, we'll definitely have a core group read the money conversations in Wellness Pro Academy. There's a lot of people that just want to get more comfortable, more familiar, and with
great.
us, they do get the offer and the pricing structure and the guidance to sell, but
That's
just
great.
that reinforcement is so
Yeah.
great of listening to
Yes.
books or reading books.
Yes. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. I enjoyed our conversation.
Yeah, me too.